Welcome to the Future in 15 show. My name is Caleb Parker, and we are back where season 1 left off, in Coventry at Warwick Conferences. And today we're talking about online meetings, a subject that is dear to my heart. We have a special feature at the HBAA's membership meeting, and we have 4 panelists here: Adam Simpson from etc.venues, Joanna Fisher from Q Green Hotels, Heather Swatkins from VenueDirectory.com, and Mark Nunan from MeetingsBooker.com. The topic of online meetings is a quite popular topic, and there's a lot of questions around it, both on the agency side, the venue side, and the corporate side. And there's a lot of tech solutions out there. Today we're going to talk about how to maximize ROI on online bookings for small meetings. So, Heather, I wanted to turn to you because there's a lot of stats right now on the increase in demand for small meetings, and I know you guys are keeping track of that at Venue Directory. Can you talk about some of the stats that you're seeing?
Yeah, sure. Through our various booking channels, we have about £200 million worth of confirmed business that's coming through the Venue Directory site from various channels. And we have analysed that data, and about 74% of those bookings are of what we class as small meetings, 30 people or below. And that figure alters from venue group to venue group, but that's the average.
Are you seeing, so over the past couple of years, have you seen a spike in demand for small meetings under 30 people?
It's growing. I wouldn't say a spike because it's always been, it has always been quite a high figure.
Okay. Mark, can I turn to you? Talk about some of your statistics.
Yeah, very similar. So in some ways, we've actually just published a report at metingsbooker.com/metingsreport if you want to see the information. But in terms within that, we've basically analysed over a year's worth of transactional data. We're seeing similar trends. There's a great debate on where the small meetings sit in. What we're seeing is that the average attendees are below 10, and 95% of the purely online bookings with credit cards are 95% below 20 people. So we're in that kind of range in terms of framing the context of what online bookings regarding meetings are about. So there are some interesting stats in terms of the actual lead times then as well. We're seeing that for small meetings and automated meetings, lead times are a lot shorter than what would be traditional for larger conferences. We're seeing that at around 14 days average lead time for bookings. Joanna sees slightly shorter windows, I think, but again, it's in terms of framing the product set and what actually we're trying to offer, I suppose, particularly around efficiencies with such short lead times. You have to take that into consideration in terms of the purchase behaviour of the actual consumers and what they're looking for in terms of immediate gratification as opposed to a longer back and forth engagement with venues. So there's some interesting trends that we're seeing.
So you categorize small meetings as less than 20, you're saying less than 30. Do you guys have a view on that?
Go for it.
I would say less than 20 as small meetings. 20 and above, and 20 to 30 would probably be our sweet spot. That's our most popular meeting, that's most in demand. But anything under that is, for me, fairly transactional type of space that we can use a good online tool for.
Okay, and when it gets over that number, this sort of becomes an offline transaction versus an online?
I mean, it can still start in the online space, but it becomes much more important for the customer because the value of it's higher, that they need to get that right along the journey. But it's also easier for our salespeople to get in contact with those customers because it is more important to them and they need to get things confirmed quicker because it's a bigger transaction, it's a more important piece of business for them as a customer. So that's kind of where we would see that over 30 piece.
Yeah, I mean, having developed our own online booking tool on our website, I would say that the data we're seeing is coming back is that average spend is about 1,500 and numbers are between 10 and 12 in terms of usage of that. So probably in the same kind of region as everyone else at the moment.
Okay, so you developed your own booking platform.
Yeah.
We chose to go with a quick, easy option and with an expert that has that expertise in that area. Okay. That works for us as a business model. It's a low-cost option for us.
So I want to talk about that a bit because I think there's a lot of venues out there and in the room that are thinking about having some sort of online booking solution for their small meeting. So let's talk about getting a venue's inventory online to make it bookable. How time intensive is it? How expensive is it? How easy is it?
Easy. So at venuesdirectory.com we have a product called Small Meetings, and a venue can manage their inventory and that product through their My Events channel, which is the portal that they would go to within Venue Directory to manage their listing with Venue Directory and their small meetings product. So within there they can manage their imagery, their availability, their prices, and very much like Mark was saying, you know, we know that it's pretty short notice, so we recommend that a venue would keep one meeting room up live all the time and adjust that inventory, you know, as the weeks go on.
Okay. Mark, I'll turn to you for a second. When you engage with a venue and they're ready to go, is it a matter of a day? Is it 3 weeks? How long does it take to get that venue's inventory on the platform?
From just getting on the platform, we have a completely self-serve solution as well, similar to Heather's.
Yeah.
So it literally can be as little as an hour in terms of getting, you know, the first rooms, the venue configured, etc. From there, you can obviously get more complicated. We have a full yield management system as well. So if you want to get more complicated regarding your offerings in terms of pricing, based on range of triggers, be it lead time or certain days of the week. Obviously, there's a little bit more configuration and learning curve there, but we have a dedicated content team that help any venues who want to onboard on that side of things as well. That's on the platform itself. And then the other side, if they, you know, if a venue wants to, you know, just get direct traffic and just wants direct volume, we also provide a very, very easy to add widget, which is essentially taps into our booking engine. And they can just have it hosted there on their own website. So if they want their own marketing initiatives, PPC, SEM, driving traffic to their own site, they're completely empowered to do that as well with our platform. They don't, you know, have to go the complete marketplace route either.
Okay.
So we give two options.
So I want to talk about that too, because there is, both of you enable venues to market their inventory through various channels, online, etc. So I want to talk about that too. So in getting the inventory live on their website, it's important. They're driving traffic to their own website. When a customer comes on their website, or an agent, when they come onto that website, you're saying that they can just book there and then in real time, live, and pay with a credit card.
Okay, so at Venue Directory, on our small booking widget, we allow the venues to have the live availability with the price book now. They can have a shopping basket of catering requirements and equipment that the venue will manage completely within their portal. So we even have some venues that haven't got a full catering offering on site, so they'll do Marks and Spencer sandwiches as an offering. So there is complete visibility to the buyer as to what they're getting. And it's a click-through, book and pay. And that's a live booking that's been booked and paid and delivered to the venue. Okay? There are other sites out there where I know that if the venue doesn't have live availability, that is then clicking to an agent. And that's not the way the Venue Directory work. It's very much a widget, it's live availability, or it's a request at that point for a small meeting. But it's always a commission-free transaction through that widget.
Cool.
So,
yeah.
so from our side as well, very similar. So they can choose whether they want live availability or request a book model. I suppose the key thing in terms of making a decision of, do you want to expose yourself online on a broader marketplace? That depends on your own internal resources as well. Look, if you have dedicated marketing teams, if you have a very strong central global brand that attracts its own SEO, it makes sense to do so. And if you have a spend behind all of that can support it, great. If you have technical teams that can obviously host that in a proper site environment, great as well. I suppose what we offer is a fully robust, we go through the pains of being PSD2 compliant, being GDPR compliant. We work very closely with Microsoft on their Azure Cloud hosting platform. So we're a partner of theirs, and they give us an awful lot of support regarding the actual infrastructure itself. It costs a lot of money, a lot of resources to have a completely robust online transactional system. If you don't want to go down that path, your trial and entry into the market can be that route, leveraging our technology, and then you can get it live very, very quickly. You can sample the market, you can sample the opportunity size that's there, and then you can make your own ROI calculations in terms of whether you want to internalize it a little bit more. So we give that option of integrating slowly into the overall online space.
So that's a good segue. I want to talk about ROI. Joanna, how long have you had your online booking platform now?
So we're going into our second year with Meeting Booker and the white label, which was the most appealing thing for me. So I've got feet in both courts, if you like. And when I joined Q Green as an organisation 3 years ago, looking at meetings and really looking at how our customers buy, because really, for me, this is all about putting the customers at the heart of how they want to buy, whether that be buying through a third party, through an agent, and them using the online tool, or buying direct with us. It's how does the customer want to buy, and how do I make it easy for them to do that in this day and age. We're in a different environment, i.e. we have brands above the door. So I did the due diligence of, are the brands going to provide this solution? No, not yet, because they're so complex already with all of the tools and technology that they have. It takes 2-3 years for them to get to that end solution. So I jumped in with both feet and we went with Meeting Booker, because the model that they gave us, both white label and on their open marketplace, and the return on investment was, I believed, a better option. And as I sit here today, first year or year on year, we're up 200% in business. So really strong return on investment, better than I'd ever anticipated, and we're pacing ahead. And that's not just from plugging it in. We work it, and we work very closely with Meeting Booker on a partnership basis on how we can use their technology expertise to say, how do we use this the best that we can? And I use it down on the ground for the teams so that they can focus on the bigger revenue and focus on our customers that want more touch time, and give us more opportunity to help take them through their more complex bookings that are higher value for them and higher value for us. And it works really, really well. My only challenge now, looking ahead, is the brands are starting to develop that, and my challenge in the future will be, what do I do when the brands come on board with a solution and say, okay, it's part of your brand franchisee agreement that you can't use a third party anymore. And that's something that we'll figure out when it gets here.
Adam, you guys decided to build your own technology. What drove that decision, and what kind of ROI are you seeing?
So I think it was an anticipation. It was probably about 5 years ago when we launched our tool. And when we launched it, it was very much a prescribed form, which I think quite a lot consider as being an online tool. So a form that you fill in and then you get a response back. Cycling on, the third version that we've got to now is a live availability that taps directly into our diaries. Why did we invest in it? I think it's very much the same reasoning as Joanna, is to ensure that there's as many channels open to our customers as possible. And actually, the biggest ROI from my point of view is that there are customers that regularly use that as a solution. They find it easier. I think the wider spectrum of the website, we have live chat on our website, and a number of different ways in which you can communicate with us through that portal, has actually opened up the doors to make potentially international business who can't book at the same time as we're available, to people who want to just book something for the next week because it's the weekend, who just want to just tap away and get something done. So that's really the ROI we're seeing. It's expanding the channels that we have available for people to get in touch and to choose to use our facilities. I wouldn't necessarily say that it's vastly growing the kind of meeting business that we see already. Traditionally still coming very much through phone and email, and agencies. Thank you.
So speaking of agencies...
That's me being a salesman. I got asked to do that by Joanna.
So speaking of agencies, so there's, with online bookings for small meetings, in the past, we as agencies have always submitted at least 3 options to our clients to review, gone back and forth. It's been taking up the agency's time, taking up the client's time, taking up the venue's time. And I want to pose this question to all of you, if we now have the ability to just click and book, can we get rid of offering 3 options? Should we? Would clients be happy with us just clicking and booking?
I think it's a case of educating your client at the end of the day. At the end of the day, there's all the OTAs out there, and that's what everyone's doing with accommodation now. People very rarely are offering 3 options for one night, 1 room, 1 night. People are just booking it through an OTA, paying commission on that. And I think we can commoditise the small meetings. And I think, like Joanna was saying, maybe the small meetings, people will just book, buy some teas and coffees and a lunch and go.
I think there's one big difference between the meetings market portals and the OTAs, and that is that a lot of the OTAs definitively say that they guarantee the best price. So they say, look, use our solution because we will guarantee you to get the best price. They do it in the airlines, they do it on rail, and they do it in accommodation. As I have seen it, I don't think there's anyone out there currently from the meetings portals that is actually guaranteeing that as well. So to limit to one option when you don't know it's the best price could be seen as a bit of a risk.
But again, it's the education, isn't it? Because with a meeting, people, yes, price is important, but it isn't always the reason that people, you know, someone may specifically want a particular brand. And if you are educating your client to, you know, understand the brand, understand the product that they have, and maybe have some loyalty to that brand, that can make it easy for you to direct your client to the right place, as long as you have a handle on what they're willing to spend, and it's a short notice booking, so it should be competitive.
And let's face it, really, with that smaller type of business, if you're looking at when time is such a valuable commodity as well now, and with PAs to CEOs that are booking a half-day meeting or a day meeting for 8 people, the cost of that, and even the cost of potentially shopping around of that person's time, outweighs the value of booking something that is actually convenient to book, quick to book, it's done, and you can move on to the bigger parts of the business that business users, PAs, CEOs, big businesses are focused on doing, like we all do here today. We all get, you know, frustrated in the minutiae of things that we want to be really quick, which is why we all, you know, shop on Amazon when we're at work, because it's one click button and Prime takes off. It's enabling our customers to be able to do the same thing, and I don't think price is as important as the convenience of having availability, an instant book option that's easy, secure payment, and you know you've done for the following
and
week.
the quality of meeting rooms these days is so much higher. You know, 10 years ago, if you booked a boardroom for 10, you may end up with a converted bedroom, and it might be a bit rubbish, really. But these days, you know, there's great products out there, great quality products out there, so you shouldn't be too scared, really, about ending up with something that isn't good enough for your event.
We'd see the same with the relationship, say, with Wagon, if we're talking about the agency side of things. So we're obviously powering their small meetings engine on their side. So we've been very lucky. We've been able to directly engage with a lot of the large corporates. So the profile of a stakeholder is probably, you know, a travel manager, probably a finance person, maybe a technology person. A lot of the questions are, you know, how do we just make this so much easier? It's so much back and forth. We've got, you know, systems for our POs, we've got Workday for our HR solutions, we've got X technology provider for hotels and bedrooms. Why is meetings just not in that sphere at all? So it's a demand that's driven by on the client side as well. And I see that across every industry, be it oil, pharmaceutical, tech, they're all looking for that solution. It's completely inefficient at the moment, and I think that kind of that choice. And the other thing then as well is the tool itself is, going back to the original question of the choice of 3, the tool itself is self-selecting. Everyone's used to that type of behaviour. They can filter down to whatever they want. So the days of trying to having kind of some outline of what you're looking for, the choice is so vast now. But beyond that as well, you can actually filter right down to your very specific needs, and sometimes not price sensitive, and sometimes much more location driven or needs driven. Sometimes it might be non-hotel, particularly in the tech firms. They like the, not mentioning specific brands, but the kind of the cooler workspaces, the breakout areas that are just non-traditional meeting rooms. So that variety empowers the employees, and they're much happier with that range of selection, and they can self-serve to what they need.
I have one last question here, and I want to start with you, Mark. Going back to the Carson Wagonly partnership you have, can you talk about how Carson Wagonly's engage their clients in your online booking tool, and how other agents can benefit?
Yeah, absolutely. In terms of they look at a book of business, the high value end, and it's similar to the venue side of things as well. Having agents stress over a 300 or 400 pound booking is a completely inefficient use of their time. They can then now, with the automated system, focus those resources on the much higher value books of business. So that's a huge opportunity for them. Not only that, in terms of a market differentiator, going back to my original point of there's not a lot of meeting solutions out there. We've been now part of kind of RFP processes as well, so they've been winning new business and at a global level on the back of clients looking for an online, it's kind of a checkbox in the RFP, do you have an online meetings booking solution? So in the market, it's a differentiator against your competition as well to say, do you have that? Not only that, then you can actually automate it and create it an awful lot more efficient, where frankly a lot of particular smaller agencies, it's just not efficient to handle that book of business. If you can automate that and focus on the higher value ends, that's a good resource management tool for one, and a good differentiator in the marketplace if you are going up against other agencies. So I think that solution is an exciting development, and I think that's where a lot of the growth in the next 2 years outside of just the organic growth will come from, is actual the corporate business properly using an online tool driven through agencies as well as organic.
Thank you for joining us today. Until next time, take care of yourself.